We have a huge number of participants, 7. This is holy mackerel. All right, well, good evening, everyone. This is the select board meeting of the town of Bolton. It is Thursday, March 2nd, 2023, 7 o'clock. First up, we have police chief updates. Chief Nelson. One is the introduction of patrol officer Madeline Dyke and a discussion of the police department comfort dog. So take it away, Chief Nelson.
Got it. Thank you very much, Stan. Very good to see everybody tonight. Madeline is, I see she's in the waiting room, so she is here to answer any of your questions. But Madeline comes to us straight from Framingham PD. She went to the Lowell Police Academy back in 2022. She's got a criminal justice major from Johnson and Wales College. She lives in Boylston, and she's going to make a great asset to the Bolton Police Department.
That's great. That's great.
So she's here for any of your questions.
Well, I just want to welcome Madeline to the town. Thank you for choosing us. I'll make sure you know all of my cars and license plate numbers and stuff, as I always do with everyone that goes by. But no, we really welcome you and thank you very much for choosing Bolton. I don't necessarily have any questions. Bob, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. I just, again, want to extend a welcome and thank you for joining our police department.
Yep.
Of course. Thank you
She
guys
has
for welcoming me.
She has expressed that she wants to go out and stop a lot of cars, so I'll let you know what Stan's cars look like tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Well, if you want, I'm glad you want to stop a lot of cars. That's great. That's great. We need the money. No, we appreciate it. Well, thank you very much. We greatly welcome anybody, any police officer that would like to come to the town of Bolton. Thank you very much, and we'll give you our full support, whatever you need. Chief Nelson knows that, so welcome. Absolutely welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Madeline, for coming.
Thanks, Madeline.
All right. So number 2 is our comfort dog that we have been proposing since about April of last year. We've been trying to get the groundwork started. SRO Casey McCarthy, she presented this program to me. I thought it was a great idea. A lot of surrounding towns are doing it. I'm sure you've seen Hudson's dog Murph, which was pretty much donated by the Murphy Insurance, Julie and Dennis Murphy. So Hudson got a donation and they were able to get their comfort dog. We've got a lot of surrounding towns. We're working with Lunenburg right now and the Acton SROs that also have them. So we went to Dawn. Dawn was all in favor for this. So our next step was going to the school committee. And once we got past the school committee, we went to the superintendent, who enjoyed the idea. He's looking forward to a comfort dog in the school, which he's got thumbs up. So I'm glad he's happy. So we've researched, or I shouldn't say we, Casey's done most of the groundwork, and she's found a place up in New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire, Boonfield Labradors, that will have a litter sometime around June, before the end of this fiscal year. So she's on the list, she's ready to go. And what that'll do is the dog will stay with Boonfield for the first 8 weeks, and then there'll be 4 weeks of training on site. And then what'll happen is Casey will start going back and forth and doing training on a very limited basis. Now, what we're hoping for is that most of it will be done while she's on school vacation. But if it does get into the school, it'll only be like 1 or 2 days a week. And we've got a plan where I've got a backup SRO in the queue to be trained. So when Casey's out of the school, we'll have the other person in there to cover the school. So we're looking forward to it. So what happened, and so how we can make this work is that Julie Murphy came to us and said, I'll pay for the dog. So she has generously given me a check for $10,000, which we have later on the agenda, to cover the cost for the dog. So the only cost that we're gonna see is the wages. So whenever Casey has to go out, or whenever I gotta put somebody into the school to back her up, that'll be out of my budget, which I've already kind of put a little bit in the budget for next fiscal year, anticipating where we're on a thumbs up for the comfort dog.
Okay. And ongoing, where will the dog reside? Once it's here?
Yes, Casey will be the handler. So that means the dog comes and goes with Casey. So she will set up her house with a kennel so that the dog will have somewhere outside to go that'll be secured. Where we've been looking into insurance, and right now we're pretty sure Maya will cover the dog. So there may not even be a cost incurred on that. But if there is, we've got enough in the donation that will cover any insurance. So Casey's, this is her baby and she wants to run with it.
Okay, so what about like normal, like, food and healthcare and vets and that kind of stuff? How will
Yep.
that be managed?
Yep. She's covered that all too. So she's got a lot of donations from the school, a lot of the kids, teachers, everybody's kind of uniting into the project. We are looking at some vets that will donate their time. And the food will buy, but that's all coming from the donation. So
Okay.
again, no cost from the town
Okay.
at this point. Even the, it's a dog cage release. So if it's too hot in a car, the doors will open. That's coming out of the donation money.
Okay. No, it sounds great to me. I think it's a great idea. I read all the background stuff. I think it's great. Bob, any questions, comments?
No, it's been a very successful program. It's a different program with
Yep.
the needs dog in the fire department, but that's been very successful. It's been very well received. It's been a blessing to the town, and I welcome this other opportunity.
Yep. No, I think it's great. Now, Jenny, since Don is not here, do we need to do a vote or?
Well, I will, whether we need to or not, it's not going to
What-
hurt to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I will move to approve the implementation of the police department comfort dog program.
I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye,
Roll call Sikansky,
aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
No, it sounds great. It sounds great, Chief. Sounds great.
No, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it very much.
Just keep us up to date. But it sounds great. Any help you
Yeah,
need, let us know.
bring the dog to a meeting later in the year. Really?
Definitely will. Yes, it'll be making the rounds, by sure.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Chief.
All
Have a
right, I'll
good-
see you later in the meeting for the donation part.
There you go. Thank you. Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
All right, next up is an update on the Neshoba Regional School District Building Project. Amy Cohen and Kirk Downing.
Chair Wasaki, it's good to see you tonight, and Mr. Sikansky, you as well. So thank you for having me. We are excited about the comfort dog as well, and the chief is very excited. So I know we're going to have a meeting coming up as we prepare for that. But tonight I'm here, and it'll just be a few minutes, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind. In your materials tonight, you had our update on the NRS building project, board brief number 3. And really, we're progressing along in the project. We've been doing a lot of design work. Castle Booz and Associates has been coming to the school on a weekly basis, meeting with teachers and educators about the spaces and, the pragmatics of daily life as they continue to work on the building design. And so we also have been talking about geotechnical surveys and geothermal feasibility for the project. These are all just in conceptual phases. As we get farther down the line with those of course be brought before the school building committee in a more formal way. But in the flyer, you will see the conceptual building design a couple of things to note. You'll see some of the restrictions we've talked about before. The design is evolving in such a way where, as it was encroaching on the buffer of the wetlands, as I briefed you before, it is now more outside of that. And so they're continuing to work on that design, doing their best to try to avoid any conflicts with conservation at all. So they did that by bringing the library, literacy center, media center in a little bit. And so that continues to evolve in a positive way. We're going to be having tours of the facilities on April 1st, April 29th, and then again on Saturday, September 9th. And the last part on the update are just some do's and don'ts around social media communications by public employees. As public employees, we cannot use government resources to communicate the building project. So we've been reviewing that, and you can see some of those points in here. So for instance, the school district can't do mass mailings to endorse the project, that sort of thing. But with that, I'll just take any questions you might have.
No, that's great. That's it's good that things are progressing along. So that's I guess, you know, later this year we'll probably need to have a special town meeting to finally vote on whatever direction is decided. So
yeah, we were last I talked to the architects, that was on Tuesday. We are on schedule for our estimates to be coming in May. So that bodes well for us hosting some type of town meeting in September.
okay, so we'll plan a special town meeting, you know, sometime, I would assume after Labor Day.
Yeah, it'll be after Labor Day. It'll probably more the middle of the late of the month. It'll be some of the formalities around the actual date that the school committee votes the project, because then we have to follow the regulations in chapter
Gotcha.
7116D, as I
Okay.
explained last time.
Sounds good. Sounds good. No, thanks very much, Kirk. Bob, any questions?
No, I'm fine. I'm feel like I'm up to date on the project.
Okay, great.
You should be, right? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
It should be.
I think Amy wants to make a comment.
I
yeah.
just wanted to add, for those who are interested in signing up for a tour of the high school, you can go on the building committee's website. There's a form to sign up in advance for that. It's also on our social media pages. And we are looking into recording those tours and posting them so that people who aren't able to get to those can kind of get a good understanding of the existing conditions of the building.
Great.
Mrs.
But,
Cohen, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that explains one of the nuances of the do's and don'ts of what we can do. The school district cannot publish and put out the tours of the high school. However, we can come to boards like this and tell you that we're doing them, and we're not violating the law because it's a function of government. So there are all lots of interesting nuances we have to follow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hear you. I hear you. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate
Thank-
the effort.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up on our agenda is a discussion with Bolton's Regional Agreement Amendment Advisory Committee for the Bolton members, the RAAAC, Brian Boyle and Lorraine Ramasco, to talk about the current status of the regional agreement, which I believe there was some discussion and movement on that last night at the school committee meeting. And a second agenda item, because there were some previous incantations of the regional agreement that may have an effect on the lease agreement with the town of Bolton. But let's have Brian Boyle and Lorraine Ramasco. Are you with us?
Yes, good evening, everybody. See Lorraine down there in the corner as well. Oh, you're on mute, Lorraine.
Thank you. I said I'm on top on my screen.
Oh, look at you with the fancy background, Lorraine. Look at
Well,
that.
that's because I'm on my work laptop.
Look at
I got
that.
even better ones. I'll show you later. Stan.
Nobody puts Lorraine in the Zoom corner.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. I know Brian and Lorraine, the three of us have had some conversations regarding the regional agreement in the past week or so. And I know that there have been quite honestly, a number of changes to the regional agreement that we kind of stumbled upon over the last week or so. And I believe last night that the school committee voted on something of which, thank you, Lorraine, for forwarding that. So I guess maybe, I mean, the school committee voted on it, but I'd like to get your sense of where you think you guys stand, because you are Bolton's members on the RAAC. You know, is it a reasonable agreement? Are there still some things that you're not happy with? I know there's one or two things that I'm not happy with, but I'd like to hear from you first.
Lorraine, I'm happy to defer to you or whatever you want.
I will say that this was a massive effort and it was a long time coming. So I have to give credit where credit is due to the group of people that worked on it across 3 towns. And quite honestly, one of my biggest concerns was the audit situation. And I am happy with where that landed. Because a few years ago, back in 2016, when the forensic audit was done, the auditor suggested to us that we have a regular cadence at the school district, because it wasn't the first time that there had been fiscal improprieties in the school district budget. And so I have to say that the RAAC did acknowledge that, and the school committee did adopt, including a forensic audit. The other thing that I was really happy to see that they decided on their own, which I think is a good move, is the fact that the school committee audit advisory group, which is a subset of the school committee, is going to be seeing the audit, instead of the administration seeing the audit first, which always seemed kind of strange to me, that the administration would work with the auditor and then the administration would get the audit before the school committee would see it, even though the school committee was truly the client. So I'm comfortable with that aspect of it. I think, there are things that we could work on going forward. But I think for the most part, it's in a better position than the district towns were in prior to it happening. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. I would agree that, first of all, it was a huge undertaking. And the thing is, there were 3 towns, there were people from the school committee. I think everybody had slightly different objectives. And so I think at the end of the day, like, did I get every single thing that I would have liked to be in the agreement? No.
Right.
But did anybody? No. So what I was thinking, especially last night, Lorraine and I went to the school committee meeting just to see if there were any last minute changes that were of real concern. And I can say that having reviewed what happened last night and the version that the school committee approved, I think unanimously, right, Lorraine?
Yep.
I feel comfortable recommending this to Bolton. I do think it protects our interests as a town. I'm happy to talk about any areas where you may have some lingering concern, but I think the things that I had been most concerned about related to assessments, capital assessments, operating assessments, they all landed in a place that I'm personally comfortable with. And I think we all have a good understanding of how it's going to work going forward. So there were times along the way where I think it was challenging because part of the thing, and maybe this is good for the public to understand, under Mass General Law, the Commissioner of Education has to ultimately approve our regional agreement. That's true of any regional agreement. And so what would often happen is the RAAC would work on something. We would make a bunch of changes or recommendations. And then usually the chair of the RAAC, who had been Dr. Mary McCarthy and then was Leah Viverito. Sorry, I think I'm losing my voice. they would go to DESI and basically get DESI's feedback saying like, are we moving in a direction that the commissioner may have an issue with down the road? So there was like a lot of back and forth where where usually the chair of the RAAC was an intermediary. So that was like not ideal, but I think we worked through it, Lorraine. And so I think with the final result, I'm comfortable with the substance of it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I had a bit of concern, the fact that in talking with both of you, the fact that the town representatives of the RAAC oftentimes, or not at all, were involved with conversations with DESI. And that troubled me greatly. The fact that we had basically one person who was the chair of the school committee who was communicating with DESI about this agreement. And there were many times, actually in the last few weeks, where you weren't aware of changes that were being made to this document until somebody brought it to your attention. And I think we had a conversation on the 16th of February, where on the 14th of February, the chairman of the school committee sent the I'll call it the management of the town's version of the document, and we find out that there's a different version on the 15th, which we don't know have, and there was a different version on the 28th of February, which we didn't get either. So I have a bit of concern with that. But the one thing that I'm very concerned about is that in section 6, there was a lot of discussion about the district budget, and there was a lot of discussion about changing the first paragraph of that section, and where it said that the committee shall prepare and adopt an annual district budget. The word prepare was stricken because there was a lot of conversation on that. It would appear to me that the school committee does not want to deal with reviewing and doing any type of detailed investigation of the school district budget. And that basically it's, and I'm using their words, is that the district, i.e. Kirk Downing, is responsible for the budget, and he's going to do the budget, and they're just either going to approve or not approve the budget. And I have a problem with that in that by state law, the 3 towns have no input on the district budget. And if the school committee is abdicating their responsibility of reviewing and scrubbing that budget, then who is? So that one word taken out, and there was a lot of discussion on the 15th of February by the school committee on that one particular point that I have a real problem with. And we have had that problem for a long time. We have not had the school committee review that budget for a long time. And I'll put you on the spot, Lorraine. The only time that the budget was really investigated was when you were on the school committee and you were the chairman. It didn't happen before you were on there, and it hasn't happened since.
I haven't been, to be honest, I haven't been keeping track with what's happening, but I do know that last night there was more discussion about the word prepare, and Brian actually made a recommendation. What was the word, Brian?
Yeah, so Stan, I completely hear what you're saying, and I share the general, I think both of us probably, Lorraine and I both share the general view that we think that the school committee does have a responsibility to not just adopt a budget, but to be involved in the preparation. Right. And I think the reason that, I did raise it last night, and what I did was I pointed to the language of the statute, chapter 71, section 16B, which talks about regional district school committees having a duty to, quote, determine the amounts necessary for the budget. And then later in that section, it says and then they have to adopt. And so the statute, the law actually contemplates a school committee being involved in both determining the amounts and adopting the budget. And I feel like at the end of the day, we can continue to kind of have this kind of philosophical disagreement with them, but we at least have the fact that Mass General Law says that they have an obligation to be involved in determining the budget, not just adopting it.
And yeah, and I think that's the point, right? So Brian and I talked about this last night, and I really feel strongly that the school committee is responsible for that budget. If something goes down in that budget, it's not the administration who has the problem, it's the school committee. So ultimately, it's the school committee anyway. So I think that the lack of prepare in there was like, it was unfortunate, but I don't think it's going to change the responsibility. And should anything happen, which I don't anticipate, but nobody does until it happens, I think that they would then own the responsibility anyway, right?
Well,
So,
let me question that, because back in 2004, when things went really south financially for the school district, the state had to step in, bail out the school district, and then told the school committee, we are running the finances of this district until you repay the loan, which is 10 years. And at that point, the school committee is completely cut out of all the budgetary and financial decisions. So the idea that they're ultimately going to be responsible and have to answer for it and take charge, I don't think holds based on our own school district's history.
yeah, but at that point, Bob, the state stepped in. So at that
Yeah,
point, all
That's
bets are
how,
off.
but that, it got out of control so fast, all in 1 year, that the state had to step in.
You know, and I don't want to get into a situation where I'm defending or not defending, because I think that, to Brian's point earlier, there's a lot that's in this. And I think, taking another look at it in a few years is the right thing to do. But I do think that they approved, and my big concern was, again, there's a lot in that document, but my big concern is that with the malfeasance of the past, and I'm not suggesting that there's malfeasance now, and I don't want to be miscommunicated or misrepresented in that way. But with the malfeasance of the past, there are controls that are now there that were never there before, even after the 2004 debacle, right? Which could have saved us from the most recent one.
I want to caution everyone that we don't have an agenda item that is discussing this, how the school committee needs to manage their budget. So I don't want to get afoul of open meeting law and not having an agenda item. But having said that, at the 2015 school committee meeting, when they discussed this particular section, there was a lot of discussion around what they thought, and it was the chairman of the subcommittee who deals with the budget and warrant subcommittee, whose responsibility was it to review the budget, and who met with us in December and said, we're going to scrub the budget, who made these statements about, well, it's really not our responsibility. So my issue is that they've changed one word in this regional agreement, and all of the dialogue that went along with that discussion, which basically says, we're no longer responsible, it's the district, and we're just going to approve what the district gives us, I have a real problem with. And as far as this regional agreement, I'm not comfortable with putting this on the annual town meeting warrant for the voters to approve. I think we need to have a discussion with the school committee to understand exactly where they stand relative to what they're going to do or not do with the district budget when it comes time to review it, because the towns can't. We're not allowed by law. And if what I heard on the 15th says that they don't think they're responsible for doing it, then who is?
And-
I don't
and-
know.
And if they say that they're not going to do it, then we have a real problem.
And at no point in the process is there any opportunity for just any citizen to come in and ask questions about that budget.
Can I make a comment? I'm so sorry. Would I be able to be recognized by the chair?
Yes, please, Amy, go right ahead.
I was at the meeting last night. As you know, I serve on the school committee. And I just wanted to add some context to the conversation. And Brian and Lorraine, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sitting in a car and I don't have my notes in front of me. But I believe that the language that is included in the regional agreement that was approved by the school committee last night talks about adopting a budget, that our duty is to adopt a budget, not approve. So there is time, there is a process in place for us to review the budget as it is being developed. And we are getting, this is only my third year on the school committee, but I can tell you that we get regular updates on how the budget is being developed as our superintendent provides them to us, that the school committee has provided feedback throughout that process, and is an opportunity for the public to ask questions and provide feedback. And that is at the annual hearing, which, again, I'm sitting in my car and I don't have my notes in front of me, but I believe that that is scheduled for March 8th. It is posted on the website. So that would be the opportunity for members of the public to, ask questions, provide feedback, and it's really not able to happen until then because of when the school district receives their revenue streams from the state. So Lorraine has much more experience than me and can correct me if I've mischaracterized that, but that's kind of my understanding, that this budget hearing is the place for concerned residents, citizens, community members to offer their feedback and ask questions.
I think while that's true, absolutely that's true. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Stan, so correct me. But I think the concern might be that there's one day at a certain time where you can ask questions, and other than that, there really isn't a dialogue. I don't know if that's what you're suggesting, Stan.
No, I hear what Amy is saying, and yes, that there is a public hearing. I believe it's March 8th. But my concern is that it's not so much, and it's important for the citizens to be asking questions, but it's the school committee to be asking the questions of the school district management.
Oh,
Okay. Because we as the select board and the town, we're not allowed by state law to do that. Why are you doing this and why are you doing that? It's not so much, okay, I, as Stan Wysocki, as a citizen, asking the school committee a question about why this and that and the other thing. It's why the school committee is not taking an active role in questioning the budget that's being produced by the district.
Well, I think
And it's the same thing as I sent out an email, because this board voted some time ago. I mean, our expectation is that the town of Bolton brings in every department, and we go through every line item of every budget. And unfortunately, that is not occurring with the school committee vis-a-vis the district. And why is this and why is that? And I know that there's a large portion of the budget that is pretty much set in stone in terms of relative to, you know, salary and wages and fringe and everything else, but there's a portion of the budget that is not. And we can't do that, but we're asking the school committee to do that. And my issue is with the discussion that was held on the 15th of February, it sounds as if the school committee isn't interested in doing that. And that's why I have a big problem with the word prepare was taken out, because the chairman of the warrant and budget subcommittee specifically asked that word to be taken out because they didn't feel that they had a responsibility to do that.
Yes, I'm noting, I know that that is a concern of yours. And I just wanted to point out though, that so that the community is aware that on February 28th, I think just, was that Monday night or Tuesday night? The superintendent had a meeting with all of the FinCom, the advisory committees and the FinComs from each town to review the budget and provide an opportunity for those types of questions to be answered. So I think that there are multiple opportunities built into the system, and I think it's just a matter of debate that we'll probably have to disagree on as to the school committee's responsibility for preparing the budget. But thank you for recognizing me.
Mr. Boyle, you had your hand up.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to try to explain a little bit better my thinking on this. So I think that there is definitely a difference in opinion among various people about exactly what role the school committee should be playing when it comes to reviewing the budget. I think that actually some of those differences of opinion are reasonable ones. I think I'm strongly aligned with you, Stan, and probably you also, Bob, and you, Lorraine, about wanting more active involvement from elected school committee members, because I think elected school committee members have just a different perspective than a hired administrator, right? So I have philosophical reasons for wanting that. So I think for me, the question is trying to like get my view into the regional agreement. Is it going to happen? I just really had my doubts that we could get it in the regional agreement in a way that would command the support of all 3-member towns. And so then I was thinking, okay, if it's not going to be in the regional agreement to the degree that I personally would like, can I live with the language that's there? And then are there other opportunities that we will continue to have to continue pushing our perspective? And I do think that we have those. So I would have loved to have stronger language in the agreement. But I think even if we all agree that we want a different agreement, I'm not sure that we could get one approved by the 3-member towns. That's where I came out on it.
Let me ask this question. I haven't seen the latest. Lorraine sent it. I haven't had a chance to review the latest version. But is there anything in the agreement that someone on the school committee could go back and point to that says this prevents us from getting more involved in the budget?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I also think that the role of the school committee is pretty well laid out as far as they're not the ones who are actually putting it together. I think the concern of having more involvement in it is a valid one, but I don't think that there's anything in there that would preclude them.
Okay, well, that's important to know.
Brian, do you agree?
Yeah, and I guess I would say, so we did succeed in getting language into the agreement in that same section that says, let me just read it just so that everybody has context. It says, in accordance with MGL Chapter 71, Section 16B and regulations, and giving due consideration to the financial constraints imposed upon the member towns by Prop 2.5, the committee shall annually adopt a district budget. And I think my argument would be, if the committee has a responsibility to give due consideration to Prop 2.5, but also to adopt a budget, it can't adopt a budget that gives due consideration without getting into the weeds a little bit. So I think we do have language in there that says that the district can't just say, that the school committee members can't just say, we're not involved. I think the agreement gives us a hook to say, well, actually, yes, you are involved.
Well, we can agree to disagree, I'm just very frustrated by all of this, and
No, I agree. It doesn't seem to me any valued reason has been presented about why the word prepare should have been taken out. I would have preferred for it to stay in there too. But what I'm hearing from our representatives on the committee is, in their view, this is a big leap forward in a lot of different ways in terms of accountability. And don't let, what I hear them, correct me if I'm wrong, is don't let the perfect get in the way of the good.
Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what I was thinking. As a former school committee member, I'm just going to put my hat on, and I could be completely wrong, but I think part of the concern with the prepare word is that they aren't physically preparing it themselves. I'm not saying that that's appropriate, because I'd rather see prepare in there. I think it is that you prepare and adopt. I think that you own it. It's your responsibility. So, yeah. So, and the district administration works for you. So in essence, you are preparing it. But at this point, I don't know that it's going, to Brian's point, we're not going to be able to get this put back in.
right. Well, no, I understand that, and again, I'll echo the fact that there were many changes made to this document that were not provided to the town leadership and not even provided to members of the RAAC, which I have a problem with.
Mhm.
But I think overall, I guess I'll say that the changes to the document are for the most part reasonable. And I don't think either of you have any major objections to that in terms of what's there. The second agenda item that we had listed under here is that there was an interim version of this document that changed what capital improvements and dollar amounts and everything else, which possibly may have been straightened out. But I think I would say that this board reserves the right to look at the lease agreement that we have with the district. The fact that there was some interim changes proposed in this document, which would have had potential changes to the lease agreement relative to capital costs, that I will discuss with the town administrator Don Lowe as to whether or not we want to look at that lease agreement and potentially open it up to make changes. So Bob, are you in?
The capital expense thing and the changes there baffle me. I don't understand why they're there. So I'm happy to spend more time investigating those. And
yeah, I think so. I mean, because if the school committee was willing to make those looking to make those interim changes, which required opening up the lease agreement, I think we need to look at the lease agreement in its entirety, including those changes, to see whether or not spending a bit of time to digest what the implications of those changes are and look at something else. I mean, the lease agreement was last done back in 2006, so it's coming up on almost 20 years now. So I think taking a look at this, the fact that this regional agreement should have been updated years ago and was not. And I believe it was brought to the attention by someone in the town of Bolton, the fact that the membership needed to be changed, which was the impetus to make the change to update this agreement. So I think all cards are on the table. So,
Yeah.
to your point, I don't think we're going to get the word prepared back in this agreement. So we'll move forward with that as long as you're reasonably comfortable being on the RAAC as far as the Bolton Town membership. And we'll look at the lease agreement as a separate entity at some future meeting.
I honestly, Stan, again, I'm just really happy that the forensic audit is now included in it.
Yes, I agree.
I'm really happy about that because I know for folks who were not here or aware or involved, it's kind of like don't be a chicken little, the sky isn't falling, but it is a very serious thing.
Yes.
This school district is responsible for $65 million. That's a big responsibility and we need protection and the
Yep.
school committee needs protection.
No, I agree. No, I think you're absolutely right. Well, thank you very much. We all appreciate the fact that the both of you were on the committee and spent the time that you did, and thank you very much for taking.
Just a point of personal privilege. I have to say Lorraine was
Sure.
like invaluable because I think the fact, I mean, I'm not just puffing her up. I think
No, don't puff me up.
No,
Yo, puff her up, please.
No,
Puff her
don't
up.
puff me up.
Come on.
no, I think like the historical knowledge, especially around some of the financial improprieties, like the fact that she could speak with real specificity about that, I think made the difference even last night to the rest of the school committee when they were considering this. And so I just want to say thank you, Lorraine, because I think that was really important.
Thank you very much, Lorraine.
I'm just
Thank you to
thankful
both of you.
about it.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank
Take
you.
Thanks.
care.
Have a good night. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll move on. All right, next up we're actually 3 minutes ahead of schedule. Remarkable. Continuation of discussion of the transfer station pay-as-you-throw bag program conversion with Randy Heglin. Randy, are you with us?
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good, Randy. We're fine.
Good. I'm gonna keep the video off only because I've got some bandwidth issues. If media keeps getting cutting in and out.
That's fine.
So,
That's fine.
I guess I was asked to be here tonight to discuss the transition plan, which I had forwarded to the board, a draft transition plan on how we are thinking on the full transition to pay-as-you-throw bags as a result of last meeting, with a full implementation date of July the 1st.
Yes.
I don't know if everybody's had a chance to take a look at it and comment on it. I think the biggest thing that I like to emphasize is we're going to try and do as much advertising as we possibly can through signage at the transfer station, in addition to multiple web postings and web news articles that are sent out through the website, reminding people that this change is being made.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I think also we talked about allowing folks. We voted the last time to make the cutoff July 1st for the cutoff for using bags only. I think also we should allow folks who have stickers to convert them to bags. However, I think we need to set some guidelines in terms of how many stickers people can convert at one time, because obviously there's a difference in size and weight relative to stickers versus bags. And I think we need to have some discussion relative to seniors who may have accumulated a huge amount of stickers because they've gotten those stickers for free, and what the guidelines should be for that. And I think we should have some discussions, certainly not this evening, but moving forward. I've also talked with representatives of the Council on Aging that to help relieve some of the issues of the conversion of stickers to bags, that we might want to be able to get some additional help up at the transfer station. Maybe when the weather gets a little bit better, to offload what the workers at the transfer station are doing, to have somebody else there to do that conversion from stickers to bags. So I think if you're amenable to that, Randy, I think we can probably get a couple of folks to come up and do that work so that Scotty and Eddie don't need to divert what they're normally doing up there.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And one other, as you were mentioning it too, I was thinking about, possibly even the Boy Scouts as a, some project of theirs they could possibly do some weekends, something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, so we'll figure that out, but to offload that. And I guess one other thing that I noticed, I saw some things on Facebook that people were opining that that there wasn't a 42-gallon contractor bag. Well, I think for the folks that are out there, and one gentleman by the name of Kyle who opined on Facebook, there was never a sticker for 42-gallon trash bags. It was a green sticker for 13-gallon white kitchen trash bags and an orange sticker for 33-gallon black trash bags. And that's it. Right now, I don't think we're going to be contemplating doing anything with 42-gallon contractor trash bags because there were only 2. So I think that may be one possible loophole we might be closing as well, with people bringing much larger trash bags than what they were buying the stickers for. So, but yeah, I think we'll get there. I think I haven't heard too much in terms of the issue. I think people just wanted to know where they could buy the stuff, which is the same place they could buy the stickers before, which is Town Hall and the transfer station. But we'll manage the conversion. Bob, any questions or anything you might want to add?
Well, I have heard some of the stories of things that have happened during the transfers. It seems that we're still working out how to make this work properly. And my concern is that by sticking to a July 1st date, we're actually making this most difficult for the people who have been most observant in terms of using stickers, wanting to convert them, having a lot of stickers, so on and so forth. And I'm amenable to pushing that date out if there's a consensus that we really have to improve this transition and make it smoother, and it's necessary, and we can't really do it the right way by July 1st.
I don't see why we can't have it's March 2nd. We're talking about 90 days. This is not rocket science, Bob. People can use their stickers until the end of June. If they come to the transfer station and want to convert their stickers to bags, they can do that. I'm not really saying that this is a huge problem. If you can point out to me what the hardship is, I might be willing to consider moving the date out a bit, but I'm having a problem with understanding why it's such a huge issue for people.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have enough hard facts to put a stake in the ground right now.
Okay.
But there's some anecdotal evidence that makes me second guess the decision that we made, not you, we made
Oh, no, I understand we made it. I mean, I think 90 days is a reasonable period of time.
That was what I thought last week.
Right.
I'm gonna work on collecting some more information, and as you said, we'll be discussing this further.
I mean, okay, that's fine. But you need to provide something that's why it's such a dramatic hardship.
I understand.
So I think right now it stands, we will stop the use of stickers as of July 1st, as we had previously voted on. People will be able to convert their stickers to bags. We'll have a policy if seniors who have had, they have thousands of stickers because they're not using them, but they're getting them every year. They've gotten them for free. We'll figure out a way to do that. So I'm not necessarily seeing it as a big issue. So if there are people who have a real issue with it, please bring it to us and we'll discuss it.
Okay.
Leslie,
Yes.
how are you?
Question. I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
So just to clarify, so say someone brings their stickers in September, we'll just trade them in for bags.
No, it's July 1st.
You want to cut it off?
Well, I understood that we were not going to accept stickers at the transfer station anymore.
Right,
But I don't see
can't we-
why we would cut off the conversion.
right, that's
Well,
what,
well, I guess the question I have is if we're giving people 90 days to bring in their stickers and to convert, why is it that we're gonna let someone 3 months later who couldn't be bothered to bring their stickers in to convert them? And I've got to assume that the average person is not buying, who's purchasing stickers, are purchasing huge amounts of stickers at any one point in time.
yeah.
Okay,
I'm thinking the largest amount I've seen is about maybe $125 worth of. How much, Jenny?
We've sold $250 to a few people this year.
Okay, so for a few, okay, but nothing more than that.
You get a
Nope.
free lottery ticket when you do that.
so the thing is, if people know that we're discussing this evening, that we would like them to bring their stickers in by July 1st.
Okay, but
To get them
Stan,
to, and then someone decides, well, gee, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna wait till September or October or November.
okay, Stan, to the question you asked me before, what's the pain? What's the pain of doing that?
There isn't a pain, but why would we just, so, all right, do you want to make it indefinite? So someone in 2024 or 2025 who has stickers, to let them exchange them?
I would
There's
ask.
some
I would ask
there needs to
Randy
be
and
some
Leslie if-
responsibility on both sides of the fence here.
I would ask Randy and Leslie if they see that as a problem.
I think my feeling is it's going to be a very small number of people that are going to have those kind of stickers left over after July 1st. That's my gut feeling. I think the majority of the people are going to utilize their stickers or trade them in. You know, if somebody's cleaning a drawer at home and they discover a sheet with 2 or 3 stickers on it, they've paid for that. There's a monetary value for that. I think they should be able to swap them in for bags. Don't allow the stickers to be stuck to a bag and go in the trash. They should, swap them, take them home, transfer it to a bag so that every bag that goes into the compactor should be green or orange. That's the way I was thinking about how possibly this would work the best. I mean, if somebody had, like I said, if somebody's cleaning a drawer and they find a few errant stickers, I also have heard the story of, individuals with hundreds of stickers at home because they've been free.
Well, that's a different case. If someone's getting them for free, then I think that's a different story. If they have hundreds of stickers at home because they're free, that they're not using them because they're not availing themselves of the transfer station. Because giving someone bags for something that they got for free is a different story than someone who actually paid for a sticker. I don't really have a problem if
I don't know how you would differentiate. I don't want the staff to have to start making that decision on whether the person received the bags for free or paid for, especially after July 1st.
If you want to extend when people can transfer their stickers to bags till what, the end of the year, I have no problem with that.
I guess my recommendation is let us go along, see how this July 1st day goes, see how many more stickers we start. If the stickers go away, then this whole point is, discussion is kind of moot. But if we're still seeing some stragglers out there with a bunch of stickers, and every week they come in with stickers, we're gonna have to say to them, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to start utilizing the bags and turn in your stickers and get bags. Like I said, every bag that goes in the compactor should be green or orange.
As of July 1st.
As of July 1st.
Yeah, that's fine. And if people want to turn their stickers in after July, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
I think that meets the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish here by allowing the staff to be able to be more vigilant, more vigilant of what's going into the compactor.
Right, and that was the reason why we set a date of July 1st.
Yeah.
Because if we allowed that to go on forever, then they won't know. They won't know.
Yep.
So that's fine. I don't have a problem with allowing folks to, if they don't get them done to transfer to do the conversion by July 1st, let them go to the end of the year. That's fine. But there has to be some date where we stop. I mean, I can't see, someone in 2025, I have found a few stickers in my drawer. I mean, we have to stop it at some point.
That's not even worth discussing. That's going to be such low volume.
Okay.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I just would really like the board to consider, even if it's a temporary one, setting a limit to how many stickers can be turned in at once. Because I see a real problem if the majority of, even if a portion of the seniors in town have multiple years worth of stickers, and we can't differentiate whether those stickers have been purchased or just saved. We could very easily deplete a large percentage of the supply of bags that Randy's purchased to just sit in garages around town and not actually get used. So we're converting a 10-cent sticker to a 40-cent bag, and
Right.
those bags just may never get used.
No, I hear what you're saying, Jenny. I agree with you. Yes, that makes sense. Because I believe there was an incident or a situation where someone came in with a large number of stickers, and they needed help getting all the bags out to their car.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I think we need to do that
Yeah.
as well.
I highly agree with that, because I also think about Scott and Eddie up at the transfer station, having someone come up on a Saturday when it's really busy, when they're supposed to be, keeping an eye on the compactor.
Right.
And having someone say, so I think limiting the number of tickets you could turn in at a time is really a good idea.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And that's why we want to get some additional help up at the transfer station to alleviate the need for Scotty and Eddie to do that. Have somebody else.
Is this something we can decide at the next meeting?
Yes, we're not going to decide this tonight, but yes, we can decide at the next meeting.
Is it possible to have a temporary vote for how we should proceed for the next 2 weeks until the next meeting? Because people are already coming in, and I've been telling people this week, please wait until Thursday, because I think there's going to be a discussion about this topic, and I'll have a clearer direction about how many stickers and that you can transfer in and where you can do that.
There's 5 bags in each package of bags. So I would say, 20 bags, 4 packages. That seems like a reasonable, manageable number, I think.
I'd agree with
Um,
that.
Okay, so the what you're requesting is that we take a vote that there be no more than was it 4 bags or 5 bags?
4 packages.
4
4
rolls, which
packages
is,
of 5 bags.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of any one sticker type to convert to bags. So there would be the same number for orange and green.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
correct.
So no more than four packages of each.
If
Yeah.
that seems reasonable, to everybody,
Okay.
If you're doing 2 per week, which when I had a full house wasn't unusual.
well, there are 5 stickers on each sheet. So 2 sheets would actually be 10 stickers, 10 bags.
Okay, so that's 5 weeks worth.
And I'm just thinking of this as a temporary measure that we could proceed until we have a more formalized plan and events planned for exchanging larger quantities.
I know you had one extraordinary amount, but what's been the range outside of that one extraordinary amount? What's been the range of stickers that have been swapped out?
I'm not sure about the guys at the transfer station. I know they have been swapping out stickers for bags, but I don't know the amount. I don't know.
Yeah, when I asked Scott today, I didn't get a sense of how many they're doing at each time, but I did hear, I asked him on a regular basis, are there any comments, pro, con, or whatever? And he said he hasn't had any comments this past week, that people have been pretty good about. He said, we're just getting a lot of bags swapped in, a lot of stickers swapped in for bags.
I'm fine with the 4 of each, or 4 packages of 5 bags each, because you have to remember, people can still use the stickers. It's not like
Till July 1st, yeah.
till July
exactly, till
1st.
July
So
1st.
you got 90 days. So it's not like people have to get the bags now.
Okay. All right, but just as long as we can revisit it, the discussion, I'll go along with that now. So I think you've got a consensus. I don't think you need a vote. Do you need a vote?
I would like to have a vote so that I can tell patrons that,
So I'll move that for the next 2 weeks, or till the day after the next select board meeting,
Until further notice.
Until further notice, the maximum amount of stickers that can be swapped out at any one time is 20.
I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye,
Aye.
roll call Sikansky,
aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, next is an update from Parks and Rec on the plans for the nature playground at the town common. Lisa Sheppel and Erica Mond, are you with us?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So you have the printouts there, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what this is essentially just a brainstorming of things we would like to see happen there, that we wanted to get your feedback, questions, concerns, anything before we spend a lot of time planning it. Because if we were to do everything in depth and then it'd be, nope, don't want it. That's a lot of wasted time. So we figure we get your input and we can move forward from there. And then if we need to come back for certain things, we will. Do you want me to go through each one of these items?
Well, actually, in looking at the diagram, I'm not sure how you're orienting what you're doing to the.
So it's, if you were to drive up to the town common and park next to the porta potty, say, and you're looking at the woods,
Mhm.
and then the rink is over to your left, the pavilion is over to the left, but you're staring into the woods straight ahead, and the porta potty's on your right. That's the orientation.
So the porta potty's the blue-green thing.
Yes,
Okay, and that's a trail going into the woods through the
Yes.
middle of the page. Okay,
Okay.
so we'll start with the spider web has been already approved. I'm sure you guys remember that. And Liz Shepke, who's on this call, is in the process of getting that ordered. It's been measured and spec'd out. And I don't know, Liz, if you want to say anything in addition about that at the moment.
I don't really have anything to update on that. We're still trying to figure out the configuration of the end size of the spider web.
Okay. So that's in the works, and we're hoping for it to go up before the summer camp starts. So hopefully spring. And then the cargo net climb, which was up, and I'm sure you all remember that. So may we put that back up? We found a really smart gentleman, engineer in town, who lives here. He has 2 kids. Actually, his oldest son is one of the original kids who was on the robotics team who planned this out. And he's an engineer. He builds airplanes in his basement, and he agreed to inspect it for safety. May we put that back up?
I guess I'm going to go off to the side a little bit on this conversation because I don't feel there's nothing in any of these proposals that makes me say, you know, a child wouldn't have fun on it. But I've got this responsibility as a select board member to think about safety and insurance and stuff like that. And I'm not an expert on any of these safety issues around these things. So I'm asking, has anybody contacted the town insurance, or is there any other authority who can evaluate this?
Yep, I have contacted the insurance and they said we are covered. And as long as we had the sign, and that's what that sign was all about when you guys approved it. It was a couple meetings ago. As long as we approved, you guys approved it. They said as long as we have that sign, we're fine under the insurance. And I have that in writing too by email.
You know, again, I have no objections to any of these specifically. I've never seen most of them. I'm not an expert on whether I'd have wanted my kids on them or anything like that. I'm kind of, this is a new area for me, and I've got to rely on outside expertise.
Well, all the people who are working on it, are pretty educated, and we with the stump features, we're working with. We're still in the research process with all of these as well, but we do have in place for the 2 cargo nets about 6 inches of mulch in the appropriate areas and the space required around it. So if someone were to fall. So from that perspective, if a kid were to fall in the area, it's up to the standards of what they have on the specs for these individual pieces when we got them. And then it's a matter of them being attached well, which we'll have Dean take a look at those. And then also Stephen Schneider is the one that installed it. So,
Well, actually, I'm looking at this now, the spider rope thing
yes,
was something that was approved a while ago, but
Yes.
apparently that was not implemented. It was number 2, which was implemented, which I believe our town administrator asked you to take down. Because that was not what was approved.
correct.
So has that been taken down?
Yes.
So
Yeah, they
why
just-
is that still appearing here?
They just
They
asked
really
us
wanna
if
put
they
it
could
back
put it
up.
back
It's-
up.
Yeah,
Yes, we want to put it back up.
I guess part of my confusion is I don't know why you're asking that question of us.
To put up the cargo net?
Yes.
Because you have to allow it, you have to say, yes, you can put that up, just like the spider web. I mean, the spider web you approved. So we're wondering, can we put the cargo net back up? So the
I
reason
thought
the
the
cargo,
spiderweb issue for the select board was, do we accept it as a gift? Or am I
yes, it
getting
is a
that
gift.
confused with something else.
Right, so we're not really here to discuss the spider web. We already talked
Right.
about that, but it was years ago. So the cargo net happened, I can only say it's a product of COVID. It was a really tough time to get anything moving. And that was an attempt to do the spider web with that, but we found out that we couldn't. So it became its own separate structure. And then because it didn't match the exact specs of the spider web, then we were told to take it down. So, but we still have it, we still own it. So we're asking, just because we're here tonight and we have it, and it can be done, and the people, can we put the cargo net back up?
Well,
The
I guess the
reason for- it was-
question is, why was it taken down in the first place?
Because we were told to take it down, because it didn't match the spider web specs
Yeah.
that was approved.
Okay, so you put up the vertical cargo net in lieu of the spider web, and you were told to take it down, but you still
Right.
have. I think this needs to go back to Don Lowe, because you're asking us to approve stuff, and especially the vertical cargo climb, which for whatever, and it escapes me at the moment, but for whatever reason, Don Lowe asked you to take it down because it didn't meet what the spider web was, and there were some insurance issues. So I am not in any position tonight to say, sure, go ahead and put it up. I want to have, and unfortunately, Mr. Lowe is ill this evening and not here to comment on it. So I think we should just maybe table this whole discussion until such time as Mr. Lowe is able to come back. Because I'm not going to give any approval or disapproval of anything right now.
Erica, do you want to go move on the other items and go back to another time, come back another time and discuss the vertical cargo net and just talk about the stumps and the log?
No, actually, no, I don't want to talk about anything right now.
Yeah, I'm baffled why you're bringing this to us. There's,
The whole project?
pardon me?
You mean the whole project in general?
Yes. Yes, I want to hear from Mr. Lowe that this is got an approval as far as insurance and liability, because there's lots of things that are here. And the fact that the vertical climb was put up and taken down and didn't meet the spider, I think we should have you guys come back in again when Mr. Lowe is here to give some
Yeah.
background and color to this.
This
because-
this is not approval or disapproval of the plans or the willingness to do something. This is just completely out of context for me. And I really don't understand what I'm being asked for. I mean, I know it's a simple question. Do you approve this? But that's a very laden question to me. And it's, for example, for the pavilion, we were asked, do you want a pavilion? Can we put up a pavilion? Here's roughly what it's going to look like. It was like, yeah, go ahead. And this is, I've got no issues with putting in any of this specifically, but as a select board member, I'm baffled as to why this is my decision as to whether or not, that I should take number 3 and not number 4. I don't understand why it's being presented to us this way. And that's
Okay.
not your fault. So.
Okay, let's back up a little bit. So we did talk to Don Lowe in general, and we have a lot of features here. It's a big project in its scope. And we don't have all the answers for everything because there's so many different things. So we figured, how is the best way to tackle this so it doesn't take 20 years? So it was suggested to us to just give a brainstorm of ideas, run it by the board to see if there's questions about anything specific before we spend too much time getting every little detail sorted out and people lined up and cost and everything, to just run everything by you in general. Not to approve any of these other features, but just to show you, this is what we're thinking of doing. Are there, and get your general feedback. Are there any concerns that you see, any questions that you have? Not to say, yes, do it. So this is where the cargo net just made it seem like it took a little turn because it was second on the list. But really, the project as a whole, we're just presenting to you in a preliminary way. So you can, so it doesn't blindside you whenever we do get around to all these things, because that was one of the first comments about the spider web 3 years ago, is how does this one project fit with the overall scope of the project? Where does it fit in? What are you thinking of in general about everything? So this is what we're thinking in general about everything. Then we will come back to specifically each and every one for an approval to do it. But we're just saying, here, look at our ideas. Great. If you generally like what you see and have no more questions, we are going to focus on 1 or 2 and come back and get your approval before we do it. But we just don't want to research it if you say no way, no how.
I guess if you're asking me, is this an okay plan? At a very high level, I'd say, yeah, it looks like a nice plan, but that's not the same as saying go spend money on it.
Right. No, we're not looking for you to vote on it to say, yes, do all this stuff tonight. It's more of a, what do you think? Because it is overwhelming. And we did talk to Don Lowe about it, and we did sort out the insurance general issue, which was to just get a sign, which we have, and we're going to put up before we put in any of these features. So we are getting there slowly, but we just wanted to do, because I'm a volunteer and there's a lot of hours I've already spent, and I really don't want to do years of work for none of it to be moved forward when I wish I checked much earlier.
No, and we appreciate that. So to Bob's point, it wasn't actually clear what you were coming here to ask for. As a plan with the number of items, I mean, I think it looks fine, but I think we need to get obviously more detail and understand what the potential implications are, especially from an insurance and liability standpoint on that. And Mr. Lowe hasn't conveyed any of that to us yet, but no, overall, to Mr. Sikansky's point, it looks, certainly it's very comprehensive, and it looks like it could be very nice. But if all if you're looking for right now is that, then I think you've got it. But I think we need more information as to whether or not that this is something that, you know, you should move forward with. But at a high level, I think it looks great.
Okay, thank you. But when you say more detail, that's exactly what I want. So I would love to just quickly run through them to see, because I don't know what's in your head and how you'll respond to it. And I know what's in my head, and you may not know where I'm getting at. So if we can just run through them, and you can ask some general questions, and then I know, okay, this is what they're going to be looking, the information they're going to want to be looking to make this move forward. So then I will spend my time getting that information for you at a later date.
Mhm.
So do you want to move forward with the?
Sure,
item?
that's fine. Sure.
Okay, so the stump checkers is actually a stump there already. A tree was cut down. So it's maybe 2.5 feet wide around. And that's just a matter of putting some lines in it and decorating some rocks so a child can play checkers. The log T climb, there's some photos there. We don't know exactly how we would place it, and maybe the logs would dictate that exactly by their size and shape and how they are. But we are generally thinking of at least a T, where we maybe notch it if it's a smaller log, maybe not, but it's just a climbing structure. And so you'll see on the left side where these things may go. So we are looking to have a log T in front of where that cargo net was.
Mhm.
And then, and stop me please when you have questions, else I'm just going to run through it for time's sake.
Sure.
The balance strap is like a typical balance strap you see in a lot of homes in Bolton. So we had one up temporarily, and there was concern about it coming undone. So the only way it really can come undone is if somebody plays with the locking mechanism, which we can easily put a lock on it, so it can't come undone. I've had one at my house for 15 years, have 10 kids bouncing on it. It doesn't have that much tension that something could ricochet like a rubber band. If anything, you'll just get a little bit looser and lose bounce. And it's been safe. I have lots of kids at my house all the time. Jenny, I'm sure knows. And then a lot of times they have something hanging above to balance you hold on to. Sometimes there are little circles or like monkey bar type things to help the kids go across and hold their balance, or it's just a straight another strap line. The pavilion games, that's essentially just painting on the cement under the pavilion, or if anyone walks under the walks. There is the Foursquare and shuffleboard. Foursquare, a lot of the kids in the middle school love to do. And then the hopscotch is a very typical one, which should be fun, probably on the sidewalk. I think the shuffleboard will have some paddles, I don't know what you call them, that will move the objects. So we probably have a carpenter, maybe have a rack for it, or maybe we have a bin that we put a lock on it, and then Bolton parents will have the combination, something like that for these items. And then the metal climb is actually existing climbing structure at Memorial Field. And what we were thinking with that is, we know there are plans in general to have a new playground at Memorial Field, that we would love to save that climbing structure, because maybe it will stay there, but just because what we saw at the Florence Sawyer when they took the playground down and they got rid of these gorgeous monkey bars, metal formed monkey bars that you cannot find anywhere else because they were so old, and they just threw them in the trash. I look at this climbing structure and say, please, let's not get rid of this. Let's not throw it in the trash when we get a new playground, and let's just move it to the town common and, sort of recycle it, but just move it there. And we have a space for it, a nice space for it. Metal climb, car log. So we have some really large tree stumps already that have been delivered to the town common. They're on the side. And using a chainsaw artist to cut out the shape of a car for the younger kids. I thought would be fun. And then the log stump feature, we don't have the exact layout planned out. It'll be a factor of the space we have, but very similar to what we have, where it will be different heights that the kids will be able to jump on, and also different spacing for smaller kids, larger kids. And we're looking into how we put that in, whether you dig up the area, put the logs in, and then put the dirt around it, or do you use a big drill and put rods through it and that secures it in the ground? We are looking into figuring out how that works, but it's quite a common feature when you see natural playgrounds to have a configuration of logs for kids to jump and climb to. And then the monkey bar rings, the tire swing, and the rock climbing trait. So there's a trio of trees right behind the porta potty that serves as a great area to have a multi-fun area. The rock climbing is essentially getting the rock climbing holds that you would fasten to a tree that you see at any rock climbing area or facility. And just the kid could just climb, and it will determine whatever that height may be, maybe 6 foot, maybe 8 foot, but of course they're not going to climb 30 feet up in the air. We wouldn't have that. But just fun enough for them to go up and then go down. And the tire swing, I actually have one of those at my house. They're very easy. We just found a tire that was recycled. Some people, it was actually on the side of the road. And they even said, great for tire swing, be creative. And it was easy enough for us to figure out how to get this up with some chains and a ball type mechanism. I'm not using all the right words, but it basically can rotate 360 and go up and down. And that's fun. And it's just mounted to a 4x4. Hold on a second. I'm getting a call in my ears. All right. And then the monkey bar rings is essentially attaching some rings, which I wish were the old ones from the Florence Fairground, but they're not. So we just buy the rings and then attach them to another 4x4 board that will be fastened onto 2 of these trees in the trio. And then going forward, my numbering is off. Sorry about that. It must have gotten late one night. 2 fort areas are essentially, there are 2 areas up in the backwoods that the path leads to that is just a bare area that we were hoping to put some tree limbs, logs for kids to freely build forts or any structures that they want to be, and just be creative with them. But they would be predetermined pieces of wood that we're hoping to contact the chainsaw committee and get them to donate some of those if they have them. And they would just be placed there for kids to do what they feel should be fun. And then, oh, the tree faces, that's just a happy, fun thing. I thought it would be neat to put around the spider web area or the cargo climb area. So it kind of looks like the trees are watching you, or that they're people too. I think that's about it. Oh, no. Oh, I missed the slide. So the slide. Oh, so that area, that's really fun. We have a natural slope going down, and it's kind of a gentle slope. So the slide itself is for younger kids, but if you make it pretty wide, definitely older kids would have a lot of fun going down that as well. And the sides naturally have an incline, and we can dump some pebble rocks in between boulders, and then the boulders become the ladder in a sense that they climb up, and then they go down the slide. And the slide, we were hoping to get a local resident, the Risberg family. He refinishes those cars in town, those nifty cars. And we saw the Willy Wonka car ever drive around town, or like a big dog It's his business, so he's quite capable of making slides. And I think someone early on did speak to him and he was willing to give us a slide and have that installed. So we haven't yet looked into it or contacted him because it could be a year or two, but that's the avenue we would go. Oh, and then the log cluster. So that's just essentially what we're doing with the stump features. We're having a cluster of them, which we've seen at the Discovery Museum in Acton. They have one, and that's where a picture comes from. So do you have any questions?
I mean, it looks all very comprehensive. I think that, you know, in general, I think it looks great. I think we obviously need to get a little more detail in terms of you know, insurance liability and those kinds of things. But I think you've outlined a great, potentially great set of things to enhance the town common. Bob?
No, I agree. At a high level, I'm very comfortable with what's been presented.
Yep. So what do you anticipate next steps to be?
Talk to Don Lowe. I think probably figuring out what we need to do with the cargo net to get that back up, since we actually have it. And then going from there, it's the working with Liz as well, trying to see what would be the next step, like who we would contact to. So all the wood stump would have to be one particular company that would probably do that, or person. Yet we need to be strategic of what we put in first. So the slide and the boulder climb would have to be put in before the log stump features, just because of access to it. And the boulders and the rocks would have to be delivered with a big truck. So we don't want that riding over what we already put in place. So we probably wouldn't do the wood until we did the slide. But personally, I'm thinking in order of what could go in is this spider web, then the cargo net, the balance strap, and the stump checkers. I mean, the stump checkers can be done tomorrow because there's nothing harmful, I don't think there. And the balance strap, maybe with the cargo climb, because it's not too in depth with what a person can just put it up, not a company. But the log climb, all the log stuff would have to be probably all done at the same time. Then the boulder, then the trio, because that doesn't require equipment, just somebody who's handy with carpentry to fasten it on. So probably whoever is going to look at our other features for safety can also look at that. So maybe Dean would be a good person as well. But the longer we get into this, more people we talk to, and if there's somebody knowledgeable, we're going to bring them in as well. And then the metal climb probably be one of the last things, because we'll just put that on the end there. And then the shuffleboard and the 4 square, I think we're hoping to get that in before the town camp starts this summer. I don't think there's much liability with that, right? Like,
I'll leave that to Mr. Lowe to make.
Okay.
Decision. Yeah. All right. Well, no, it sounds great. I think the next step is we'll need to chat further with Mr. Lowe and we'll see what we can move forward with on the short term and the medium term.
Okay, so should we go to him and then it comes back to here, or should we just come back to here with him?
I think you should be chatting with Don and then come back to all of us.
Okay.
Yeah. And that can be as soon as you're able to. That'd be fine. We'll make time for you.
Thank you.
Great. Bob, any other questions?
No, I'm fine.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Erica and Lisa. We appreciate it, and we'll be circling back with you as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, bye.
All right. Well, next up is normally our town administrator report, but Mr. Lowe is under the weather this evening. I don't know what recommendation he has for the use of class action opioid settlement funds. So unless someone else has some insight. I think we may defer that to the next meeting. Would you agree, Bob?
Put it on the agenda. Yeah.
Okay. We received a draft copy of the ATM warrant. I did go through that today. Bob, do you want to go through anything? I mean, the usual suspects are there. There are lots of placeholders. My understanding in some communication with Don today is that the article for the pickup truck might be going away.
Yeah, I want to wait and see Don's presentation to the Finance Committee next week on the capital projects.
Okay, so you will just sort of table that for the moment?
I don't have anything specific to discuss on it tonight.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I mean, the capital projects are the capital projects. I did ask Don a couple of questions on a few of them, particularly the public safety building, but I said I do believe that the pickup truck request is going to be tabled. And that's the replacement of the F-250 that the DPW has. That's not going to be on the warrants. All right, so we will move past the administrative report and wish Don a speedy recovery. Next up is select board business. Any public service announcements tonight?
No.
Okay, nothing from me, just to move things along.
Excuse me, just probably everyone who's watching this knows already, but town caucus is Monday night, 7 p.m. at the library.
Yes, be
This
there.
is an opportunity for people to see how the election process in Bolton kicks off. It is an opportunity to get nominated if you wish to serve in a public role. This is the event to attend.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sikansky. Any future agenda items?
No.
No, not at this time. I will probably have something a little bit later on, but not tonight. Don put on the review of the amended Neshoba Valley Regional Dispatch intermunicipal agreement. I'm not sure what is amended. Do you, Mr.
No,
Sikansky?
I don't have any background. I've gone through it. It's 40 pages.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'm not going to say I got stumbled over the first paragraph where they talk about how the first term begins on June 23rd and ends a few days later or something like that. It was.
Yeah, so why don't we table that for the next meeting when Mr. Lowe is back in the saddle. Acceptance of gifts. Chief Nelson, here we are, $10,000 from Dennis and Julie Murphy, the foundation to fund the department comfort dog, as we had discussed earlier this evening. Thanks for hanging in there. You're on mute, Chief.
I am. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Yes, Julie Murphy contacted us with the generous donation that she did want to fund the comfort dog. She did have one requirement, and the only thing she wanted was to be able to name the dog. And that's how Murph got his name. So it was short for Murphy. So
Wow, what a coincidence.
What a coincidence. So she, I agree with her. We're thinking, last I heard was Denny would be the dog's name for Casey.
Okay. That works for me.
For Denny for Dennis.
That
So
works.
it was a very generous gift. She really wants to do it for us. She thinks it's a great program, and she's totally behind us for it.
No, and we appreciate the Murphys for doing that. Absolutely. So, Mr. Sikansky, do I have a motion to accept the $10,000?
I move that the town accept the $10,000 from the Dennis and Julie Murphy Foundation to fund the police department's comfort dog.
I will second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Roll call Sikansky,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much, Chief. Thanks for hanging in there. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good night.
You as well. Good night. Next up is to approve the bills and the payroll warrants, W 23-17 and W 23-17A. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and my understanding is that we do not have any minutes for this evening.
That is correct.
Okay, I will take a motion to adjourn if there's no other business.
So moved.
I'll second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Roll call, Sikansky,
Aye.
Waisaki.
Aye.
Thank you. And the time for the record is 8:45.
All right.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Jenny. You know
Thank
how
you,
to
Jenny.
run a meeting, Jenny. Let me tell you.
Oh, just cracking that whip. All right, well, have a good
Have a
night
good night.
and a good weekend. Enjoy.
I
Take
wish
care.
Don a very, very speedy recovery.
Yes.
Yes. Very speedy recovery. Good night now.
Take care.
Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.